faithfully delivering value and interpreting the world's best books. Hi, this is Sally from Sally's Book Talk. Today, I'll interpret the book Hackers and Painters, subtitled A Collection by Paul Graham, the godfather of Silicon Valley startups. Some say there are two smartest Grahams in the world. One is Benjamin Graham, Warren Buffett's mentor, and the other is Paul Graham, this book's author, whom Forbes magazine calls the man who shook Silicon Valley. The startup incubator he founded, Y Combinator, is like the West Point of American startups. Since its start in 2005, Y Combinator has incubated over 1,900 startups, producing wave after wave of billionaires. Its admission bar is even higher than Harvard Business School's. Startups coming out of there have Silicon Valley investors scrambling to fund them. Besides being an IT genius and successful entrepreneur, Graham is also a web writer. This book, Hackers and Painters, compiles his 15 articles on software and startups and is seen as an intro to hacker culture. Oh, Graham has an even lesser-known side. Originally, in his youth, Graham studied painting and even went to the Florence Academy of Fine Arts to learn art. Later, due to money issues, he gave up his artist dream, turned to hacking, and created the world's first web-based app. Via web. As a popular saying goes, he's an artist who got sidetracked by the internet. In switching between painter and hacker roles, Graham found a strong similarity between the two. In this book, he ties hackers closely to the perfection-seeking traits of artists, guiding us to explore the hacker world. All right, I'll break this down for you in 3 parts. First, what is a hacker? Second, what's the inner world of a hacker like? Third, how do hackers create wealth? Oh, when you hear hacker, don't you picture this? A dim room, a computer flashing green code, a guy with a hat covering his forehead, and poof, firewalls vanish in a snap. That's the hacker from movies and shows, almost equated with computer crime. Actually, the true definition of a hacker is quite different from the image we get from movies and TV shows. Quite the opposite. In the 1960s, a student group at MIT called their problem-solving methods hacks, originally meaning chopping wood, but extended to conquering difficulties. Those who solve problems this way are hackers. It's a completely positive term, even one that carries respect. In tech, only the most skilled programmers earn the honorable title hacker. In contrast, there's another term, crackers, intruders who steal data and cause damage. Hackers and crackers are two entirely different groups. Hackers see crackers as lazy, irresponsible thieves who contribute nothing. Yet in the public eye, they're often confused. Actually, it's simple. Hackers build, crackers destroy. And hacking isn't just for programmers. It's a mindset and cultural attitude. It celebrates fun, freedom, exploration, rebellion, curiosity about the world, and thirst for solving problems. Take physicist Richard Feynman, widely seen as embodying the hacker spirit, practically idolized in Silicon Valley. Playful and humorous, he loved pranks and had a genius for cracking codes. Just for kicks, he'd sneak into secure document rooms, pick locks to take files, and leave notes saying, "Guess who did this?" He did it purely for fun. Puzzles always tempted him. Inspired by Feynman, Graham learned lockpicking. One hacker friend even assembled a full lockpick kit, making police see them as potential criminals. Yet no criminal intent could be found. Satisfying intellectual curiosity isn't on the motive list. So what connects hackers and painters? These professions seem worlds apart. But Graham argues they're the most alike, calling hackers the largest existing group of craftspeople. Is this analogy a bit far-fetched? In fact, hackers and artists have long been intertwined. The annual DEF CON Hacker Convention invites artists to join as they share a common pursuit of practice, creation, and beauty. First, both hackers and painters are hard to cultivate through formal education. The author says he really dislikes the term computer science because slapping that label on hacking causes trouble. Doing science means writing papers, but the more fun the software, the harder it fits as a paper topic. Often it's just a flash of inspiration, tough to express in theory for a hacker. Not understanding computer theory is like a painter not knowing the chemical makeup of paint. Look at the hacker world. Famous dropouts like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Mark Zuckerberg clearly didn't achieve greatness through academic degrees. They all learned through hands-on experience. Some started coding in their teens. Others built computers in their garages. Practice is the real school for nurturing hackers and painters. Second, hacking and painting are both about free creation. Creation isn't manufacturing or imitation. It demands wild imagination, not rigid routines. Painters create with bold, fluid strokes, and hackers do the same. A true hacker designing software won't brew tea and sit stiffly drafting. Instead, they'll work obsessively. Right or wrong, they dump code out freely, writing as they think, then slowly tweak and refine, just like painters. The author believes that if a programmer is just a technician executing boss's ideas, coding to specs, then they're no different from a ditch digger. Third, hackers like painters demand aesthetic taste. Some say taste has no good or bad. Everyone has different preferences. But in the author's view, that's just sugarcoating. Calling taste a preference avoids arguments. The facts show people have surprisingly similar ideas of beauty. There must be universally admired, beautiful things worth pursuing. Otherwise, works by Da Vinci and Raphael wouldn't have been praised for centuries. To be a hacker requires such taste, one that transcends personal preferences and reflects universally recognized beauty. Many hackers' fanatical pursuit of beauty and meticulous attitude mirror painters exactly. What they aim to create are art pieces like Da Vinci's masterpieces. Steve Jobs was a famous example, and the author himself is no exception. He says messy code and ugly variable names drive him crazy. Now that we understand hackers generally, let's explore their inner world. The author notes that while hackers may seem dull, their minds are fascinating. First, let's see how hackers socialize. The author poses a question. Why are hackers unpopular nerds? People who solve problems but lack social grace are easily seen as nerds. Many hackers fit this nerd stereotype. They have high IQs and top grades, yet seem oblivious, less popular than a handsome basketball captain. Why are smart nerds less charismatic? The author gives a surprising answer. They don't want to be popular. That's strange. Who wouldn't want popularity? Truth is, hackers crave popularity less. Their focus is on reading, problem solving, or observing the world. They're more captivated by designing rockets, deriving formulas, or crafting elegant code than by fashion or how to please others. They can, they just don't want to. Take Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's founder, a classic nerd. Known for his reserve, he's even been thought to have social anxiety. But friends shake their heads. Zuckerberg doesn't have social anxiety, he just hates small talk. When excited by an idea, he talks like a machine gun. You can't get a word in. See? Hackers seem reserved because they dedicate social time to other pursuits. The author refutes this phenomenon. We constantly praise lively, outgoing kids, thinking being likable and sociable is ideal. The author notes that when a child stays quiet, people often assume something's wrong with their mind. As a result, school culture revolves around popular students. American teens spend every waking minute scheming to be more liked, becoming little politicians early on. And these trivial pursuits consume tons of time and energy, making it hard for kids to focus on more worthwhile things. The author says many teens today turn into people-pleasing lapdogs. Sounds harsh, right? But this highlights hackers' opposite mindset, focused on creating, avoiding boredom, never conforming. Now, we know hackers are nerds who shun attention. Another trait is they don't just avoid conformity, they actively rebel. Hackers often think up unconventional theories and speak freely on taboo topics. Then the author asks, Why are hackers' opinions always so rebellious? Let me start with this. Are there any views you'd hesitate to share out loud in a crowd? If every belief you hold can be voiced instantly, you truly back it, and you're sure others will agree, well, you should question yourself because those ideas probably aren't even yours. You likely picked them up from others. You just swallowed whatever was fed to you. Taking indoctrinated ideas as your own is risky. It means in 1860s America, you'd have seen slavery as natural. Or in 1930s Germany, you'd have accepted Hitler's racism without doubt. Ever wondered how trendy morals and fashions really start? And how do folks come to accept them? The author outlines several causes. The sneakiest one is ideological conflict. Meaning what? It means whichever side triumphs, their ideas win too. After 201, realist art fell out of favor. Guess why? Hitler loved it, and since he lost, realist art became associated with failure. So, realist art was seen as loser art and ignored until its revival years later. This absurd logic is everywhere. Another example. In design, few US companies use red circles in logos. Red's basic, circles are basic. Their combos should be striking. Because Japan's flag is a red circle and Japan lost the war, making red circles unpopular. See? Many mainstream social ideas stem from this ridiculous logic. Some might ask, if you know realist art and red circles are unpopular, why not just follow the crowd instead of rebelling? We're taught to be mature and fit in, rarely encouraged to question or resist social currents. But if you become part of the tide, how can you see its direction? Hackers are those who jump out of the current, rebellious, unconventional, seeing what others miss or fear to see. Some say taste has no good or bad. Everyone has preferences. That the author calls this sugarcoating. Calling taste subjective just avoids arguments. Facts show people share surprising similarities in recognizing beauty. There are universally admired, beautiful things. Otherwise, Da Vinci and Raphael's works wouldn't have been praised for centuries. To be a hacker demands taste that transcends personal preference, reflecting universally recognized beauty. Many hackers' obsessive pursuit of beauty mirrors painters' exacting standards. They aim to create art like Da Vinci's masterpieces. Steve Jobs was a prime example, and the author himself is too. He says messy code and ugly variable names drive him crazy. Now that we have a general understanding of hackers, let's delve into their inner world. The author notes that while hackers may seem dull on the surface, there's something incredibly fascinating inside their minds. First, let's look at how hackers socialize. The author poses a question. Why are hackers unpopular nerds? People who solve problems but lack social grace are easily seen as nerds. Many hackers fit this nerd stereotype. They have high IQs and top grades, yet seem oblivious, far less popular than a tall, handsome basketball captain. Why are smart nerds less charismatic? The author gives a surprising answer. It's not that they're unpopular. They simply don't want to be popular. That's strange. Who wouldn't want popularity? Truth is, hackers crave popularity less. Their focus is on reading, problem solving, or observing the world. They're more captivated by designing rockets, deriving formulas, or crafting elegant code than by fashion or how to please others. They can, they just don't want to. Take Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's founder, a classic nerd, known for his reserve. He's even been thought to have social anxiety. But friends shave their heads. Zuckerberg doesn't have social anxiety. He just hates small talk. When excited by an idea, he talks like a machine gun. You can't get a word in. See? Hackers seem reserved because they dedicate social time to other pursuits. The author refutes this phenomenon. We constantly praise lively, outgoing kids, thinking being likable and sociable is ideal. The author notes that when a child stays quiet, people often assume something's wrong with their mind. As a result, school culture revolves around popular students. American teens spend every waking minute scheming to be more liked, becoming little politicians early on. Such trivial pursuits consume tons of time and energy, making it hard for kids to focus on more valuable things. The author says many teens today have turned into people pleasing lapdogs. Sounds harsh, right? But this precisely reflects hackers' opposite attitude, focused on creating, avoiding boredom, never conforming. Now, we know hackers are nerds who scorn attention. They not only reject conformity, but actively rebel against it. Hackers often think up unconventional theories and speak freely on taboo topics. So, the author asks, why are hackers' opinions always so rebellious? First, are there views you wouldn't voice publicly? If you can voice every belief instantly, deeply endorse it, and expect universal agreement, you should reflect, because those ideas probably aren't even yours. You likely swallowed whatever others fed you, believing without question. Taking indoctrinated ideas as your own is dangerous. In 1860s America, you'd have seen slavery as natural. Or in 1930s Germany, you'd have accepted Hitler's racism without doubt. Ever wondered how popular moral views and fashion trends actually start? And how do they gain acceptance? The author cites many reasons. The sneakiest is ideological conflict. Meaning what? Whichever side wins, their ideas win too. After 201, realist art was rejected. Surprisingly, because Hitler loved it and he lost, so realist art became loser art until reviving years later. This absurd logic is everywhere. Another example, few US companies use red circle logos. Red and circles are basic. Their combo should be striking. Because Japan's flag is a red circle, and Japan was a defeated nation, making red circles less appealing, see? Many mainstream social ideas stem from this ridiculous logic. Some might ask, if you know realist art and red circles are unpopular, why rebel instead of following the crowd? We're taught to be mature and fit in, rarely encouraged to question or resist social currents. That if you become part of the tide, how can you see its direction? Hackers jump out of that current, unconventional, rebellious, seeing what others miss or fear to see. This isn't about being cooler or more unique. It's about independent thinking. For example, smartphones we take for granted today have one crucial feature: touchscreens. But remember, phones originally had keyboards. Nokia, a mobile giant, faced a dilemma. Smartphone screens needed maximum size, but keyboards took space. Nokia debated screen-keyboard ratios until Apple scrapped physical keyboards, making keys part of the screen. When touchscreens launched, people called them freaks. No keyboard? Is this even a phone? Today, that rebellious touchscreen phone dominates the market. That was Steve Jobs, the veteran hacker's revolutionary idea. His famous words, "Your time is limited. Don't waste it living by others' dogmas." The author adds, while breaking norms is vital, save shocking ideas for the right moment. Don't blurt them out. In forcing understanding on unreceptive listeners breeds frustration, killing your freedom to think rationally. The wise approach is to draw a clear line between thought and speech. Think anything in your mind, but speak cautiously. If possible, find trusted confidence to speak freely with. People who discuss heresies without getting furious, they're the friends you need. All right, now we've explored the hacker's inner world. Let's now discuss how hackers create wealth. Regarding wealth, we must clarify a stereotype. Society views the poor as honest and kind, the rich as greedy and cunning. If someone excels at making money, they're inevitably called a shady profiteer who stole others' wealth. The author believes we've been misled since childhood, trapped in a fixed pie fallacy about wealth. It's like society's wealth being a big pie. If you take more, I get less. For example, media saying 5% own 50% of wealth reinforces this fixed pie mindset. But truth is, total wealth isn't fixed. It's created, not distributed. Craftsmen understand best that wealth is created in tech. Programmers are the largest existing craftsman group. A hacker's day's work can boost a company's value by hundreds of thousands. Their salary soars, yet this doesn't steal anyone's pie or make others poor. But this self-earned wealth might upset some. Is it fair that a hacker typing for a day earns an ordinary person's yearly wage? The author believes it's fair. Wealth is measured by impact, not effort. Its buzziness doesn't create wealth, making what people need does. Plus, wealth multiplies exponentially beyond input costs. Over a century ago, Henry Ford said, "If I'd asked people what they wanted, they'd have said a faster horse, not a car." If you breed horses for years because users asked, your reward is just a horse's price. But if you realize users truly want better, faster transport, like Ford replacing carriages with cars, your reward is an era's business opportunity. This wealth creation method, changing the world through products, is the hacker's path to riches. To pursue this, the author believes starting a company is best because startups offer three things: intensity, measurability, and scalability. These three help hackers create wealth rapidly. First, startup intensity compresses work hours, maximizing personal ability in short bursts. That's the hacker work mode. Unlike most office workers drowning in meetings and chores, hackers simply can't work in such environments. Remember, hacking is creative work like painting. One distraction can collapse intricate mental designs instantly. That's why hackers often work late nights. Undistracted, self-directed work boosts efficiency 20 times, 30 times, even 100 times. Startups provide exactly that: undisturbed environments. In this state, you work at max intensity for 3 to 5 years, not low intensity for 30 to 50. This intensity risks health, but rapidly builds wealth. Unlike grinding 50 years for $1 million with endless pressure and monotony, startups compress all pressure into 5 years, unleashing your energy the hacker way. Prefer intense brilliance over lifelong mediocrity. But hard work alone isn't enough. Results must be measurable, or effort won't translate to reward. That's startup's second condition: measurability, avoiding collective mediocrity and slackers. In big companies, the biggest headache is failing to measure individual contributions. It's like a giant Roman warship with 1,000 rowers pulling oars together. But no one sees if their effort matters. All efforts get averaged out. Sometimes these 1,000 aren't rowing, but like grasshoppers tied to a string. Each pulls in different directions, struggling endlessly, resulting in zero movement. Put 10 people on a small boat, though. They'll row faster because each sees their effort significantly impacts progress. Slackers are easily spotted. That's the advantage of startup small size. Smaller teams mean higher measurability. Only in such companies can individual talent and effort truly shine. Measurability alone isn't enough. Sweatshop workers get paid per piece, precisely measured, but max rewards double at best. Explosive wealth growth needs the third condition: scalability. Achievable only in tech industries. They serve entire eras, not limited individuals. Once a tech breakthrough happens, it spreads globally instantly. And solving tech puzzles? Often only startups can do it. Big companies prioritize security over scalability. Example, big corp leaders demand Java for coding, a specific programming language. Why Java instead of others? Because in tech, Java is the safe industry standard. Can't go wrong. Leaders choose it for safety, avoiding personal accountability. Even if projects fail, no blame falls on them. After all, they use the industry standard. In big corp management, decisions favor safety over excellence. A safe product never creates wealth. Following standards and trends just makes you mediocre. Only daring startups return to R&D's essence. They care if your product is brilliant, not if your methods are orthodox. So to sum up those 3 points: high-intensity work, measurable results, and scalable value help hackers create wealth rapidly. All right, that covers the main points of Hackers and Painters. Hackers are people who create beauty and art with computers, craftsmen changing the world with code, meticulously pursuing perfection. As a popular saying among painters goes, a painting is never finished. You just stop working on it. Programming is an art too, equally endless. All right, that concludes our interpretation of hackers and painters. You'll find reading notes below the audio. See you tomorrow.